Hi, this is April Choi and Bethany Burns, and today we're going to show you how to make a whip cutting stand for $5. First, you need to go to any hardware store that carries PVC pipe and find where the 3/4 to 1 inch, whichever one you feel like using, PVC is, and get two 5-foot sections. Next, you're going to need two T connectors, also in either 3/4 or 1 inch, just match whatever you got, and two elbows. Show off your guns. That's a very important part of the shopping experience. Defeat your girlfriend. That's also a very important part of the shopping experience. Make sure you don't forget the glue before you leave. Okay, now that you have your 5-foot PVC lengths, your two elbows, your two T's, you have your PVC glue, not necessary but is helpful PVC primer, your measuring tape, some sort of marking device, preferably Sharpie because it writes better on the PVC, and something that cuts PVC. We have a handsaw, we have ratchet cutters, and we have power saws that are a heck of a lot easier. So, first thing we're going to do is get started with marking. If you don't like the stamps on the PVC, it's very easy to remove with acetone, which is what most fingernail polish removers are made out of. Just put it on a paper towel or some cotton balls and wipe it right off. Now we're going to trust that all of you can use a measuring tape and mark, so we're just already went ahead and marked ours. We use two 15-inch sections and four 7.5-inch sections because that's what comes out evenly on a 5-foot thing, and we don't like wasting PVC. The two longer sections, if you look at the bottom of the stand, are the two long pieces. The 7.5s are the two horizontal pieces on the bottom and on the top. Now, how do you know how tall you want your long piece? Well, we have one really tried and true method of doing this. Figure out where your usual assistant holds your usual target. And now to cut your PVC on your marks. Obviously, the most usual one is a hand tool of some sort or other, which you will saw and saw and saw and saw and keep sawing. After you cut anything with a saw, the outside of it is usually a little bit rough. This is going to make it a little bit harder to put into the connectors. So we're going to take some sandpaper and smooth it out. So now we have primed our PVC, which is not a necessary step, but it does help. PVC primer is a solvent, which will rough up the area that you're about to glue just a little bit. Now, where do we put the glue? We are only going to prime and glue one end of the long piece, one end of both 15-inch pieces, one end of two of the short pieces, and two ends of the other two short pieces. This is pretty important so you're not using extra glue. With the T's and elbows, you want to make sure you prime the ends of both ends of the elbows, all three sides of one of the T's, and the two horizontal sides of one of the T's. Do you want to show off that part? So the one vertical T does not get primer. Awesome. We are now ready to glue and whack. Okay, so the first things we're going to glue together is the top, which will be holding where you're putting your flowers or spaghetti or other targets. We will be using the T that has been primed on all three sides. So go ahead, take out your little glue swatch, swab the insides of the T on the two short ends, so the two horizontal lines of the T. Squish it together on both ends, and then whack it with a rubber mallet. If you don't have a rubber mallet, you can use an extra piece of wood and a regular hammer. Just make sure you're not using a metal hammer on PVC unless you want your PVC to go kablooey. Now, the bottom T we're going to put together Do the same way. We're going to do the 2 horizontal sides. And remember, the third side of this T is not the primed part. Fantastic. Now we are going to add the legs into the elbows. These will be the long pieces going into the elbows. Now go ahead and put the primed and glued top onto the long part of the stand. Beautiful. Awesome. Now we're to the parts that get a little bit tricky. We need to know where the center of gravity is going to end up for our stand. If the stand is going straight up and down, like this, it's going to fall forward anytime something hits it. So what we want to do is make sure the top, so the center of gravity, is above the legs. So we want it to lean just slightly back. So notice how, again, the top, where the T is on top, is above the center of the long legs on the ground. Awesome. How are we going to do this? That's the next step. This next instruction is very important. Don't use any glue yet. Hear that? Repeat after me. Don't use any glue. Take the center section of your bottom and put it lightly into the elbow where it's both primed. Now, put the other side in. Again, no glue yet. Now, this means that the entire bottom section is flat, so it's all sitting on the ground together, which means it's sturdy. Take the center piece and put it into the center. Now make sure that it's tilted back just a little bit and that both pieces are flush on the ground. Beautiful. Once you have the center of gravity where you want it, take a marker and put a mark on both the elbow and the centerpiece. Now, when we glue it together, we just make those 2 marks match up, and then you have a completely flush, even sitting on the ground base. Beautiful. Go ahead and glue those together and hammer them down. Again, double check everything to make sure it's flush before the glue is dry. We have our flush rear-mounted base. Now, remember how we haven't put any glue on where the base meets the stand? That means that you can put the base on the ground, just take your hands, set it right into the T, and you have a fully collapsible, easily put into your car, portable cutting stand. Voila! One last thing before you leave your house, make sure that you bring a rubber band or a hair tie to wrap around the leg of the stand so you can actually take your target, whether it's a flour or spaghetti, and hold it onto the stand. Now you are ready to go. And then once you're done, you can go test your stand out.